Welcome everyone to the 22nd Celebrity Synastry chart reading where I will be looking into Avril Lavigne and Mod Sun. If you don't know me, hi, I'm Adeline. I look at the dynamic between two celebrities using astrology, specifically Synastry. For those new and returning, I take notes on a Synastry chart looking at the personal planet signs, aspects, and if birth time available house overlays. I share these notes and add my extra insights and interpretations along the way. And of course, as always, leave your thoughts in the comments below and let's get a discussion going. So if that sounds good to you, like, subscribe, and keep on watching. Starting off with the Sun, we have Avril Sun in Libra and Mod Sun in Pisces. They listen to each other. Avril thinks Mod is too vague, appreciate the other's gentleness. Mod thinks Avril is too justice-oriented, and they avoid confrontation. Mod Sun in Avril's 5th house. They have creative and fun dates. Avril enjoys the adoration from Mod. Avril has a great love for Mod. They have a desire to have children together. Mod defines beauty according to Avril. Mod may be overlooking Avril's flaws, characterized by luck and pleasure, and Mod sees Avril as a source of pleasure. Avril Sun, Trine Mod's Venus. There's a mutual attraction. They both value each other. It's a harmonious relationship. I think you could interpret this harmonious relationship bit as we saw before, they avoid confrontation. So possibly it's not necessarily the most positive thing, but possibly it could be harmonious due to their avoiding of confrontation with each other. Financially lucky people, they share common interests, accept and tolerate each other. Mod is willing to do anything to please Avril. Funny, yeah, we kept just seeing before how he's very entranced by her, so to speak. Mod finds Avril charming and intriguing. Avril feels more loving and beautiful around Mod. I'm not surprised. He seems to view her very highly and is, very much at her service. Avril's Sun opposite Mod's Jupiter. There's a positive meeting. It's a difficult marriage. I don't believe they have been married. I think they were just engaged and the engagement broke off, so. Sense of unreliability. There's a desire to make each other happy. We really saw this from Mod's end before. Different life philosophies. Avril sometimes sees Mod as unrealistic. This could be linking back to how she saw him as very vague before. Avril brings stability to this relationship. Mod sometimes sees Avril as self-centered. Sometimes can expect too much of each other. Avril's Sun square Mod's Neptune. Misunderstandings, delusions, and deceptions occur. They both glamorize each other. I do really see this from Mod's end, yeah. Attraction is based on appearance. Mod promises more than gives. Avril believes Mod is a soulmate. Mod eventually disappoints Avril. Both need to be clear about expectations. Yes, so far what I'm getting from this reading, it's a very I don't want to say it's a delusional relationship, but in the sense they both glamorize each other. I feel like it's on both of their ends, it's about the delusion and how they glamorize the other. And yeah, I feel like they would need to be clear about expectations because what we're seeing so far, it seems to be very much like a La La Land type of thing. Mod Sun opposite Avril's Mercury. Great intellectual relationship, misunderstandings occur, and it's not good long term. I see this, yeah, because so far what we're seeing, it's just very a lot of misunderstandings, a lot of it based on delusions and the glamorization of each other. Mod finds Avril too analytical, kind of going back to how we saw Avril as seeing Mod as too vague and abstract. I believe it seems to be the opposite from Mod's end. Avril is understanding of Mod. Avril may feel misunderstood. I assume this could be where Mod eventually disappoints Avril. Mod may feel threatened and insignificant. Communicate well besides differing views. Avril sees Mod as self-centered. Mod sees Avril as too rational, linking back to that again. Need to have a level of emotional detachment from marriage. Mod's Sun square Avril's Mars. Sparks fly. There's a competitive nature. There's a tendency to interrupt each other. Individual egos create problems. Yeah, I think maybe not necessarily the ego so far from what we're seeing in this relationship. It seems to be the individual selves that create the issues. Productive to work on a mutual goal. Need to respect each other's natural habits. I assume this would be relating to Avril seems to be a bit more logical, rational, and sort of practical in this relationship, whereas Mod seems to be more abstract and vague, and neither of them seem to like that natural thing about the other. Both need to stop focusing on the details. They over time get more annoyed with each other, and Mod feels challenged by Avril's dominance. Yeah, from what we're seeing so far, there's a lot of deteriorating aspects. Mod Sun, Trine, Avril, Saturn. They work well together. It's a sensible relationship. I'm gonna have to disagree on that. So far it doesn't seem to be that way. I think the only way it's sensible, like so far we haven't seen that it's like argumentative or anything possibly. Like we saw there's a leaning towards it's a bit more harmonious and they avoid confrontation. So I'm guessing that's the only way it's sensible, like communication wise. Avril is loyal to Mod. Avril guides Mod with her wisdom. Both desire to build a long-lasting relationship. I mean, I assume this would have been to a certain point in time because we did see earlier Avril does see Mod as a sort of soulmate type person. So possibly like how she got eventually disappointed by Mod, that's when she kind of like checked out. Mod is encouraging and supportive of Avril. Mod is drawn to Avril's maturity. There seems to be a real theme here with Avril being a lot more mature and sensible here. Avril is attracted to Mod's will and personality. Wealth can be accumulated through marriage. Challenges are dealt with perseverance. So now it's time for moon. We have Avril's moon in Scorpio and Mod's moon in Cancer. They have a close bond. They're sensitive about each other's feelings. Avril may accidentally hurt Mod. Mod takes time to understand Avril. I mean, I see why, because he seems to really view her very highly, like, you know, makes sense. Mod's moon in Avril's 10th house. It's a neutral relationship. Mod feels uneasy around Avril. Practical reasons for this relationship: view each other as a trophy. Mod feels Avril is selfish. Did we see this before? We did see this before, that Mod sees Avril as self-centered. Avril's moon is square Mod's Venus. Previous relationships negatively impact this relationship. There's a strong connection as we saw before. Avril may not be able to provide Mod with the emotional nourishment he wants. Yikes. Mod may struggle with his self-worth. I see this. He seems to view her very highly, and we saw he feels very uneasy around her. And the fact that he sees her as very selfish and self-centered, like, I don't feel he's in the happiest place here, like, internally as such, like, with his self-esteem. Both tend to take each other for granted. Both need to resolve their internal issues for this to work. Yeah. Their values are in conflict. We did see before how they communicate well besides their different views. Living beyond means will create strange. That's something that keeps coming up, is that they're wealthy together. Both need to learn to compromise. Both like each other but not their habits. Yeah. There's a weird, it's odd because they do seem to like each other from both ends. Like, Mod seems to view her very highly. Avril also seems to view Mod as this, like, you know, soulmate figure. But yeah, there is that element. They don't like each other's habits. They don't like a lot of things about each other as well. So they both may feel misunderstood. I think we saw this from Avril's end. Both will learn how to cooperate. Avril sees Mod as narcissistic. Mod does not always understand Avril's emotions. I assume this is why there would be some misunderstanding, particularly with Avril feeling misunderstood, and potentially why she gets eventually disappointed by Mod. Mod sees Avril as needy. Avril's moon opposite Mod's Mars. It's an emotional roller coaster. Codependency is likely to occur. Avril finds Mod to be aggressive. Mod finds Avril to be demanding. I assume this would be emotionally so. They both get defensive. They both react instinctively to each other. And Avril wants commitment with Mod. This is interesting because we keep seeing this element of Avril like being loyal to Mod and being committed to Mod, where publicly that does not seem to be the case. I wonder if it's a case where Avril checked out of their relationship, you know, and sort of didn't see it as a legitimate thing anymore, if that makes sense. Avril's moon sextile Mod's Neptune. Art is a shared interest. They sense each other's feelings. I mean, we did see before they like feel connected with each other's feelings. They understand each other. There's a mystical meaning and spiritual connection. I mean, there has to be, because I don't see what else. There doesn't seem to be much of a foundation besides attraction and a general interest in the other. Avril's moon conjunct Mod's Pluto. They trigger strong feelings in each other. They work through past relationships together. This also seems to be the, a repeating factor. Maybe this is why they have kind of stuck together, to sort of work through those past relationships. This is more of like a learning thing. Immense spiritual growth, not a superficial relationship. I want to skew this a bit because it seems to be superficial in terms of their attraction to each other seems to be a very strong theme of the relationship, and the sort of glamorization of each other. But it doesn't seem to be superficial in terms of, there does seem to be like a thing of like, you know, working through the past relationships. There seems to be a spiritual thing. And there does seem to be a sort of deeper element where they both really grow and transform as people psychologically, particularly. Avril can become needy of Mod, repeated. Easy for them to talk about deeper and darker subjects. See, this is what I mean with like, it's not as superficial as it could be because they have this sort of like, you know, common ground. Mod may see Avril as too sensitive. This is so weird because, you know, we saw in the beginning he really admires her, puts her on a pedestal, would do anything for her, but, you know, emotionally, he doesn't seem to fulfill that because she feels in this relationship she comes off as very sensitive and needy. I wonder, it could just be a case of Mod just does not have the emotional capacity to do that. Like, he could very well be an emotional person, but, you know, probably because of his own issues, maybe he can't, you know, provide that to Avril. Strong mental connection, they can make great wealth together, repeated. Intense passion keeps them together for a long time. Mod's moon is sextile Avril's Mercury. They have long conversations, they feel comfortable being open with each other. It's a friendship, kind of wish it stayed that way. There's a mutual understanding, they both like a busy environment, and they value the other's opinion and advice. Mod's moon is square Avril's Venus, so this is a repeated aspect, just inverted. So Mod may not be able to provide Avril with the emotional nourishment she wants. As I was just saying. Avril may struggle for self-worth. I believe this would be in terms of she's not getting that, you know, that emotional nourishment and I guess the validation she wants. She's left feeling very needy. Mod sees Avril as narcissistic. I'm not surprised. We've seen quite a few times like she comes off as very selfish and self-centered to him. There could very well be an element in this relationship of these two are a bit more like broken individuals, or like, you know, they have some like of their own demons to battle, so to speak. And that's probably why, like, because both of them seem to come off as very selfish. Like, Avril's very, like, needy and, you know, emotionally needy of Mod. And then Mod seems to be, like, very insecure in this relationship, and they both kind of expect things of the other. And I assume that's why they're not feeling very satisfied in this relationship, is because they both don't have the capacity to, like, you know, help the other, if that makes sense. I hope I'm making sense of that. Avril does not always understand Mod's emotions, and Avril sees Mod as needy. I'm not surprised either, because, yeah, he also seems to want some sort of, like, nurturing as well. I feel like with him, though, I don't want to say it's more superficial, but it doesn't feel as emotional. Maybe we'll see a bit more foundation as to what that is. Mod's moon is square Avril's Pluto. Avril can sense Mod's unconscious needs and manipulates him with it. Avril tends to be controlling over Mod. They both need to work through their power struggles. Both need to let go of the idea that love only exists with control. Both may need to work through some psychological demons from the past, agreed. Projection is a challenge, and there's deep emotional transformation. I'm not surprised. Now it's time for Mercury. So we have Avril's Mercury in Virgo and Mod's Mercury in Pisces. These are both mutable signs. Conflict between Avril's realism and Mod's lack of it keeps coming up. Mod teaches Avril how to consider feelings. I mean, Mod finds Avril snobby and selfish. Are we surprised? This keeps getting repeated. Avril is frustrated with Mod's impracticality. This whole, like, 4 points really summarize these two nicely, don't they? Mod's Mercury in Avril's 5th house. Mod is like the sun to Avril. Mod makes Avril's day. Easy communication. These two seem to be leaning towards having a bit better communication. I mean, we did see before they can both be defensive of themselves, but, you know, I feel like with these two it's not surprising considering they seem to carry their own issues heavily in this relationship. It's not a boring relationship. Avril's Mercury square Mod Saturn, deep respect for the other's intelligence. Avril feels inferior to Mod. Interesting. Avril can be intimidated by Mod's practicality, serious tone in conversation, negativity and criticism take over conversation. I'm not surprised. They both question their role in the relationship. I'm not surprised because, yeah, they both seem to be just damaged individuals trying to be in a relationship, but I feel like they just, don't have the capacity for that. Avril's Mercury square Mod's Uranus. Challenge the way the other looks at things. I hope so. Like, this relationship does have potential for a lot of growth, intellectual conversations. This has also started appearing that they seem to be very intellectually compatible. Mod finds Avril as too traditional. Avril finds it difficult to depend on Mod. Yeah, I know, like, we did just see, like, Mod's practicality, but throughout this relationship, I feel like that kind of gets cancelled out because we've seen so many times that Mod is just a very vague, abstract, not very practical person. Mod's Mercury trine Avril's Venus. Avril is attracted to Mod's intellect. They respect each other's thoughts and ideas. There's warm communication. Avril softens Mod. They are sensitive to each other. They enjoy the same movies and music, and they share mutual friends. I assume they seem to run in the same sort of social circles, especially the music scene. Mod helps Avril verbalize her feelings. I'm glad we're going somewhere here. Mod's Mercury sextile Avril's Jupiter. Avril appreciates Mod's thoughts and ideas, so I'm glad there seems to be at least a bit of like intellectual appreciation of the other. Open communication, there's a strong friendship, business together is beneficial, we keep seeing kind of with the wealth. There's an optimistic meeting and they enjoy traveling together. Avril often gives Mod the benefit of the doubt. If I'm being honest, I have kind of been saying this throughout the reading, I feel like Avril was very much checked in to this relationship for a period of time because it seems to be reflecting here. She seems to, give him the benefit of the doubt and be, quite dedicated to him. I feel like for a period of time she was very much checked in, but I feel like after some time, because we saw like she gets eventually disappointed, and it isn't that surprising. I feel like, and not just for Mod, I feel like for Avril as well, both of these two, they don't have the capacity to be in a sort of like good relationship in terms of like give and take. I feel like both of these, because of their own issues, seems to be very much take, which, can be a bit straining on a relationship. And I feel like that is why Avril gets eventually disappointed. And I feel like at just some point she checks out. They love to laugh together and they intellectually stimulate each other. Mod's Mercury sextile Avril's Neptune. There's easy communication. They share creative interests. They are captivated by each other. I'm not surprised. Both enjoy talking about art, dreams, and spirituality. Yeah, that seems to be like, their common ground here. They just get each other. Mod's Mercury trine Avril's Pluto. They have deep conversations. They reveal deep, dark secrets here. Not surprisingly so, it seems to have that depth here. Therapist-patient relationship. Healing negative beliefs about relationships. I'm glad we see that because we've been seeing how, their past relationships make an impact on this relationship. Avril helps Mod open his mind. Get to the bottom of matters. They feel very close to each other. Resolve difficult issues together. Mod is fascinated with Avril's depth. Avril appreciates Mod's humor and easygoing nature. So now it's time for Venus. So we have Avril's Venus in Scorpio and Mod's Venus in Aquarius. It's a challenging relationship and they're intrigued with each other. Not surprising. Emotional differences are frustrating. Yeah. Avril thinks Mod is shallow. Agreed. Mod doesn't understand Avril's emotions and they admire each other's character. This also really summarizes their relationship nicely. Mod's Venus in Avril's 4th house. Mod feels the need to protect himself from Avril. I assume this would be like his, self-esteem. He seems to be a bit insecure and he seems to view Avril very highly. But also, sees her as very, selfish, so probably feels, maybe she will kind of, hurt me even more. Avril senses Mod's hesitancy. Mod has a strong attraction to Avril. There's a strong magnetism, and uncertainty and tension characterizes their relationship. Not surprisingly so. Mod's Venus square Avril's Saturn. Avril is critical and demanding of Mod. I assume this would be emotionally. Mod eventually withholds affection from Avril. I think I'm gonna skew this a bit, he eventually stops, trying, I would think, because the way from Avril's end, we seem to be getting a bit more information on her. She seems to, expect a lot of Mod, and Mod doesn't seem to be fulfilling any of those things, there seems to be a bit more misunderstandings from his end. He doesn't understand her. He views her as a bit more selfish, and she eventually gets disappointed by that. Mod sees Avril as unsympathetic, criticism is rooted from jealousy, and Avril sees Mod as childish and undisciplined. We keep seeing. Mod's Venus sextile Avril's Uranus. Avril likes to keep the relationship exciting. They share unusual interests. They're an unconventional couple. Mod is drawn to Avril's unique qualities. Avril feels appreciated by Mod. I assume this would be in a superficial sense because Mod seems to be able to do that one really well. Avril finds Mod charming and attractive. So now it's on for Mars. So we have Avril's Mars in Sagittarius and Mod's Mars in Taurus. Easygoing relationship. Both get tempers when provoked. I assume this would be linking back to how they get defensive of themselves easily. Mod doesn't find Avril reliable. Avril is impatient with Mod. Yeah, I feel like Avril sort of was like committed to this relationship at a point and kind of got impatient and checked out. Mod's Mars in Avril's 8th house. Love-hate. Avril is possessive of Mod. I feel like, yeah, as I said in the beginning, she seems to be very much committed and a part of this relationship. Transformative. They will never get over each other. Avril feels like a damsel in distress around Mod. I feel like she kind of did have that approach to the relationship. It seems like she wanted to be kind of saved, but you know. Unfortunately, I feel like with both of these two, not just Mod, I feel like they both don't have the capacity for, you know, to give a lot. Avril feels mesmerized by Mod. Possibility of a taboo in the relationship. Avril's Mars conjunct Mod Saturn. Avril sees Mod as controlling. Avril respects Mod's wisdom. Avril tries to win Mod's respect. Interesting. Potential to be good learning experience. Agreed. And they both need to be considerate. Avril's Mars conjunct Mod's Uranus. Mod's independence is attractive to Avril. It's an unconventional relationship we kind of see again with the taboo thing. Possibly an open relationship. Fascinating. This is interesting. Like, I wonder, explosive sudden arguments that diffuse quickly. I think we did see this before. Like, you know, they both get very, like, sort of instinctually react to each other. They both get very defensive together. Avril sees Mod as a friend. Oh no. If this is, oh no, that's sad. If that is the case, I mean, they were engaged, so surely not. Mod is attracted to Avril's decisiveness, and they may encourage each other to engage in reckless behavior. Mod's Mars opposite Avril's Saturn. Both will discover what they want from a relationship. I think so. This, like, as I've been saying, this is a very good potentially learning experience from this relationship. You know, I think because of their lack of capacity to give a lot in the relationship, I think that really helps them sort of grow from that, you know, in a weird way. Avril tries to control Mod. Oddly enough, we see this possessive streak from Avril again. Avril finds Mod's energy attractive initially. Yeah, we've seen a lot of deteriorating aspects to this relationship, particularly from Avril. Avril becomes annoyed with Mod's childishness. This is also very repeated. Mod seems to be childish. Avril doesn't like it or views him that way. Difference in views, which is repeated. Mod feels he's always being watched by Avril. I assume this potentially could also be the sort of like stereotypical case of like the cheater being very paranoid of the other because they are the ones cheating. Mod becomes rebellious to Avril. So that was the final aspect. I hope you guys enjoyed this reading and my thoughts along the way. If you did like this video, give this video a like, subscribe for more videos from me, and click the notification bell if you want to get notified when I upload. And yeah, I think that's all I have to say, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!